When rain or water hits hard surfaces like pavement, it creates stormwater runoff. This picks up nasty pollution and drains out to the rivers, streams, and lakes that hold our drinking water. This pollution is not treated or removed, so it's up to each of us to keep it clean and fresh from the start. Here's some things we can all do to stop stormwater pollution. Litter and trash. Litter and trash that aren't disposed of properly can injure, choke, or kill ducks, fish, turtles, and other animals, and make our environment look bad. Always throw your trash or recycling into the correct waste can. Pet waste. Now, come on. Nobody likes to step in poop. Pet waste can spread disease and contaminate our water sources. Never let your dog roam freely to use the bathroom. And always scoop your pooch's poop and throw it away in the garbage can. Yard waste. Grass clippings, leaves, and other yard waste can clog our storm drains and create serious flooding in your neighborhood. It also creates a mess in the nearest stream or pond where it ends up. Always mulch your clippings back into the lawn or bag them for pickup. Pesticides and fertilizers. Using too much pesticides and fertilizer doesn't help your plants grow, and it sure hurts the environment too. These chemicals wash into the storm drains and cause toxic algae to build up and kill fish. Always read and follow the directions carefully. Household hazardous waste. Everyday things like household chemicals, cooking grease, paint, and even medicines poison our waters when they get into the storm drain. Never dump these pollutants in the sink or outside, and always check your local regulations to learn how to dispose of them properly. Vehicle maintenance. Motor oil, gasoline, and soapy water from washing cars ends up in our storm drains and water supply where they can make people and animals sick. Never allow these pollutants to go into the street or storm drain when working on your car, and always dispose of them properly. So, to sum it all up, polluted stormwater can make our waters toxic and unsafe. But if each of us makes some small changes, we can prevent stormwater pollution and make sure our waters are clean and our environment is healthy for all of us.
We're good, yeah.
Okay, citizen communication, Mr. Overcasher. Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good evening once again. Steve Overcasher, 16520 Jadestone Drive. And I come before you this evening to condemn your lack of progress on fence repair and maintenance. As a reminder, there are 5 to 6 miles of fence, not always on both sides of the street, that make up the fencing that you folks are responsible for. In feet, that represents nearly 30,000 feet of linear fencing. Of that total, and only if I give you the benefit of the doubt, still less than 1,000 feet has been repaired, which represents about 3% of the total. In other words, since I first appeared with you 6 months ago, you're on a pace to complete the project sometime between 15 and 20 years from now. Now, in case you were going to use weather as an excuse, the average temperature in December was 68, in January it was 66, and this month it has been 72, with sadly very limited your packet, and I see that you're about to commit to another insignificant 142 feet at 3 residences. I wonder first, how those properties are being selected, and second, when will you go public with your plans to get the whole job done? The image of our community and the safety and security of the residents rely heavily on the fencing that you seem unable to prioritize and manage. For that reason, I plan to begin posting to Nextdoor and other community websites to bring your lack of attention to this important community asset to the attention of my fellow Blockhouse residents. That said, I have no intention of sitting through 23 agenda items to wait for you to approve the totally inadequate 142 more feet. I encourage you to get very serious about this very soon. Good night.
Thank you. Okay, any other citizen communication? Okay, then we're going to go ahead and move on. We are going to go to Williamson County Sheriff.
Nothing really new to report. Deputy Bartlett, or Detective Bartlett, did make a pretty good significant drug bust on a traffic stop. They were a non-resident, and he's trying to work a case on trying to figure out where they're going in the neighborhood. There was something else, but my check engine light came on, had to transfer vehicles, and I left my notebook in my patrol car out there. But yeah, nothing major.
Okay.
Just remember to tell residents to, if you can, give them extra, keep your car doors locked. Rancho Siena was hit last night with a lot of car burglaries. Make sure they're closing their garages, stuff like that.
Where's Rancho Siena?
29 in Ronald Reagan, just south of the HEB.
Yeah, okay, great, good reminder. We should
Thank
get
you for the
that
heads
on the e-sign. Maybe
Yeah, I was just gonna
It's
say.
a reminder to lock if we can.
Yeah.
Good.
do a nice little
And
reminder.
then, and you're working on the safety day, and we're looking at April 13th. He's gonna confirm that this week with Lisa. Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, gate locking and towing, is there anything new on that? Director Young?
I have not seen any instance where the gate wasn't being able to get locked. Has there been any?
So it's
Okay.
working
So
correctly?
they've been
Yeah.
on the ship every time? Okay,
Okay,
Do we want that on the agenda going forward?
yeah, we'll take it off
we can take that off.
until we need to. And we'll talk about it in our subcommittee meetings. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and move number 37, the GM review up. So, we had given you somewhat of a review a couple of months ago and said we were gonna bring it back in January. So, I'd like to suggest a way to do this, and if anybody else has any ideas, I'm open to hearing them. Let's go around one time, let everybody, share their thoughts, and if you have any questions on what somebody's asking or stating, wait until it's your turn so that we can go around. And then, Lisa, I want you to be able to give feedback as well, because I think that's important, okay? So let's start with Director Shoemaker and go around.
Yeah, I have no issues or concerns with your performance. I appreciate the work you've done with us on restrictive covenants and services subcommittee, and I know we've had a lot of different tasks you put before you, and we've had a lot of directives, but I think you've generally responded well to all the things we've asked you to do, so appreciate your work here, appreciate you being able to with us full time, and I have really nothing else to add. I think you're doing a good job.
Thank you, Director Shoemaker. Director Roberts?
I'm gonna wait just a few minutes and come back to me at the end. Thank you.
No, I'm gonna go last, but Director Johnson?
I agree with what Director Shoemaker said. I really appreciate the help on both finances and restrictive covenants. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's anything else to say.
Okay, Director Young.
The district has thrown a lot of curveballs their way. Problems with the Walker House being infested, the storm, everything. Lisa has done a fantastic job of navigating those, getting us through. I have nothing but positive things to say about Lisa. I've sent her an email detailing such, but yeah, I'm very happy with, and not just Lisa, but the rest of the office as well.
Travis and Amy. Okay, Director Roberts.
I'll let Johnson go.
You already went.
Oh, okay. It's kind of hard to do this when you're in an open meeting, but there's certainly, to me, I kind of run into some communication issues, and I would appreciate, I've asked twice to have a one-on-one meeting, and I still haven't had it. So if you could just kind of follow up with that, I would appreciate that very, very much. I also think that better coordination with being out in the field might help with a lot of these things that I see. Noticing it and things like that, I think it would help a whole lot. I think we rely a little bit, the general manager rely a little bit more on the staff versus actually being out. And so I would like to see a little bit more interaction with, you out in the field and doing a little bit more. And I know you probably do and I don't see it, but I think overall, it's been good. I think sometimes your strength as a project manager, sometimes versus a general manager. And I'd like to see more incorporation with the overall being a general manager. That would help a whole lot with some of the projects. I think it's, Robert and I talked to you in the subcommittee with this, the timing of the newsletter has been quite a challenge. And so we're trying to figure out ways to make that better for you. And I think more open communication with the board on exactly what your needs are would help the board to understand exactly where the slowdowns are and kind of where things aren't progressing the way sometimes that I would see them in the past, and just kind of those things. That, other than that, I would just like to have a one-on-one with you. Thank you.
Good, okay. Lisa, I think I'm gonna, what the guy said, I think you're doing a great job. We have put a lot in front of you, we've gotten a lot done. I hear that from Denise and Sean, wow, we've got a full agenda, but we're getting a lot of governing done, and I think that's fantastic. Oh my God, sorry. I also want to commend you for how well you work with all of our vendors, from Wilco to Sandy to Mark to Tripp, Amanda, everyone. I'm not gonna list you all, but you all know who you are. You really do a great job working with them. And the couple of areas about 2 years ago that I brought to your attention are just not even issues anymore. You've really improved on communication. You're a real pleasure to work with. I think you're a fantastic general manager, managing Amy and Travis. And I think they really enjoy working with you, and it's a solid team, and that's really cool. And the feedback we're getting from residents is fantastic, so I want to thank you. I want to let you respond real quick, but Sandy wanted to give her feedback, because I have talked to a lot of the vendors. So Sandy, if you don't mind standing up or whatever.
I'll just come up here, we just being up here. Lisa and board, when I saw this on the agenda, I knew that I needed to stand up and talk about Lisa and, Amy and Travis to a lesser extent, because I think that Lisa has made the office what it is today. It's been a positive partnership between the OA and Lisa. Prior to her tenure, we spent a lot of time frustrated with the roadblocks that were thrown up. Sometimes they shouldn't have even been roadblocks, and it was a roadblock. But with Lisa and Amy, we get immediate responses, we get things taken care of, we get good suggestions if we need to, do something else, or if there is a problem, we work it out, and so I really appreciate that. I'm really impressed in the board meetings, and you guys may not even notice it, but it used to be that on the agenda, what happened was the general manager would say, I'll get back to you, I'll get back to you, I'll get back to you. Lisa's done her homework, and she answers y'all's questions. And so the stuff doesn't have to keep going forward, waiting for the general manager to research or whatever. She's got the answers, it's there. And so I think the board meetings are a lot smoother, at least for me they are, because I feel like I know what's going on in the community, and I think that's because of Lisa. I wrote this out. I think the relationship between the MED and the OA is much more professional and workable. I think the evidence of this is the number of projects, joint projects. We've never really done that. We did some 4th of July, but it was y'all's part and our part, and so it feels more like more community-based instead of having two groups that are working, by themselves. So I think communication is just better all around for all of us. I don't hear the complaints from the community because not obviously, OA members get frustrated and we're all MUD, but the non-OA people get frustrated because they don't know where to go or what to do. Lisa and Amy send us, what pertains to us, we send it to Lisa, and it never comes back. So it's because it's been taken care of. And so the residents are happy, and I'm happy because I don't have to follow up. So I just really, Lisa, really appreciate you, and I appreciate that you're here, and you deserve a raise. And we would, and I don't know what y'all's rating scale is, but we'd give Lisa a 10 out of a 10. And I just really appreciate you a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sandy, I appreciate that thoughtful input. Okay, so Lisa, give us your thoughts and anything that we can do to improve anything that you need.
Thank you. Honestly, the thoughts that I have for you all, it's been great working with each of you as board members individually as well as collectively in subcommittees. I think that you all have really helped Amy and I structure subcommittees to where we're able to knock out a lot of business before we actually get into the main agenda of the district. I think you all have been very attentive to our schedules and allowing for us to be able to bother y'all during your regular work day. So we really do appreciate you all giving us your time for that as well. The consistency that you all have been giving us to keep these standing meetings, like I said, has been really a help to the district. Everything that you all have done as far as governmental wise has really been able to help us kind of move projects along. So thank you, Sandy, again for mentioning that, but I really don't have any critiques, if you will. I just appreciate you guys, like I said, listening to what we have to say, giving us your feedback on what you all foresee in the future of how we can work better. So we're really excited to be here. Myself, Amy, and Travis, we really do appreciate working for the community, so.
Okay, great, well, thank you.
If I may,
Yeah, oh,
just to reiterate what Director Roberts and Director Logan said, if, for me at least, if you find a way in the future that I can do better at enabling you to help us, then a standing directive to tell me.
Can I do that too?
Yes.
Okay, great. So we'll wrap that, that's done. We will talk about the contract and the operations contract shortly. And I realized I completely missed a bunch of stuff. So we're gonna go back to consent items. To have a motion to approve the minutes from January 17th and January 24th.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and Sandy, let's give your report. That's when I realized when you stood up, I'm like, oh.
First, let me give the plug for this is primary election season. Friday is the last day to vote early. Tuesday is election day. Williamson County has a abysmal 5%. Travis County, last I heard, was about 20%. So Williamson County sucks right now. So get out and vote. It's really important. And so there's that. So we have our budget. We're going to approve it in March. Currently, what we have scheduled, but obviously is subject to change. You guys have approved it, but I just wanted to remind you of what we had planned is March 30th is the egg hunt. The April 6th is shred day. And then the 13th is tentatively the safety day. And so we're working with Lisa and all about those items. And the last thing I have is that effective tomorrow, we have terminated our relationship with Pinnacle. We do have a new management company. It is called RoCal. And we're excited to be able to work with them. We're thinking it's gonna be a good fit. It's going to be several days before we're onboarded. So we've got some logistics to work out. I will give the board email out and I'll give you my personal, well, obviously you have my personal number, to refer any residents that come in the meantime. And I'll try to answer those. The electronic sign, I'm not sure when we'll be able to update that, but that is one of our priorities. So note that if everything up there is stale, it's because we haven't figured out how to use it yet.
May I make a comment real quick? Is there any way that we can move the e-sign controls over to the MUD and allow?
We already discussed that with them, and she's going to answer for you.
I'm sorry.
Yes, Lisa and Amy will have
Use
access.
some water?
I have a drink.
Okay.
Lisa and Amy will have access to that, and they'll be able to update it as well as the OA board.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, so that'll be, and I think that's just because you guys have such a good working relationship now too.
Right.
That'll, yeah, definitely.
So with the change, is there anything that residents can expect to change? Or it's just gonna be business as usual with the new company?
Well, it is gonna take some time to get the drive-bys. Those may not start until April 1st. We're hoping for it to, so they've got time to clean up their yards and mow the grass. A lot more, their website or their portal is a lot more electronic. You can submit your ACC form online. They use email a lot to send notices. They're gonna send notices to everybody that we have an email for any events. They've said they will mail out notices. My only concern there is that then the non-OA members may think that it's only OA because they're not getting notices. So that's something we've got to work on to figure out, unless we just put it in the notice, all, welcome. So, Robert, everything should be the same, but I think it'll be a little more efficient as far as communication with residents.
Great. And you have a meeting with Amy and Lisa and your new crew coming up, right?
Yes, we do.
Okay, good.
March 11th.
Okay, fantastic. And then you do have one other item, the pool, which I don't know if we've confirmed this with you, Mark, yet, but we're gonna do a swim night,
in
do
June.
a movie in the pool in June.
Well, y'all are supposed to give me a date.
Yeah, we're not there yet. I'm just saying we need to add that to your list once we have that.
Yes, I will.
Okay.
It's on my list.
Okay, great. All right, thank you.
And we're leaving because I have to be to work at 6.
All right, go help those
Waiting
voters.
for y'all to come
Hi,
back.
Sandy.
Vote early, vote often. Okay, let's go on to number 6, report from Premier. You're up.
Sorry about that, I was just letting them know we actually have all the equipment for a movie night.
Oh, you do?
Yes, we've been providing it at Rakan Creek for a number of years.
Do you have the screen and everything?
We have the screen, projector, speakers.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Everything to do it, so the only thing we would need to do is coordinate payment for the licensing.
Yeah.
We do make sure that it's all licensed and.
Oh, that's awesome.
So you just didn't want to sit and walk in, didn't you?
What? So yeah, the pool's been running great during this past month. We talked about the gas leak back in January at the January meeting, and since then, we've had no issues. It's been amazing. Chlorine's been great. Everything's been working out well. With the warmer weather, we are getting a lot more patrons in the pool. So that's nice to see that we have multiple laps being used at a time now. So it's been great. I'm sure tonight's a little slower, but everything seems to be running well. One of the big things we're doing, of course, right now is our hiring and training time. So I'm hoping that you don't mind if I use the pool like on some Saturdays for some trainings and stuff.
Yeah.
We plan to start that pretty soon, maybe even this weekend with some recertifications.
So Mark, in the past, they've done a banner on the signs for employment of a QR code. Can you do something like that?
Yes, in fact, I did put one up in
Yeah, it's
Apache since we
Apache.
were up.
Mhm.
So I've already put one up there.
I have a question.
Sure.
I was reading the update. What is a virtual reality scanning program?
Exactly. So the Red Cross just updated their new trainings, so the most current science standards right now. And part of that training is additional training that we can use in the office and stuff. The Oculus virtual reality headsets, they actually have a program now that's a training program that teaches scanning. So you may see them wearing that, and it looks like they're playing a game in the office every now and then, while we have extra guards there. So it's, we'll always have somebody ready to respond.
Yeah.
But the third guard there may be utilizing that as a training mechanism so that we can make sure that they're scanning properly and doing things. So it's a really cool thing. If you ever want to try it out, I'm happy to bring it and let you test it.
Cool.
So you can see what the pressure actually feels like on the sand, because it's a little different.
That's great. Okay. So we have, I'm gonna jump down to 9, we have the Apache Pool and Thomason Pool cleaning proposals in your packet. We have a proposal from Progressive and one from Premier. Do you want to add anything to that, Lisa, and your recommendation?
My recommendation is gonna be with Premier Recreation, just besides the fact that it does fall into our budget. Working with Mark is outstanding, and I see him out here every day already taking on that responsibility, so I think it would just be an extension of what he's already doing now, having him out here, so.
This is really cool. Your cleaning proposal is 3 times a week. We have never cleaned our pool, professionally, 3 times a week. It was always once a week. So I think residents are gonna be absolutely thrilled. And I think we're gonna really hear some positive feedback on that. So, do I have a motion to approve?
That's fine.
Do you have a question, Johnson?
Yeah, I don't see 3 times, it just says daily.
It's
Correct, it's daily.
Oh, it's daily.
I was gonna say, the other
The
one
other
was
one is
3 times.
Oh, wow.
I thought you were saying when we, or both our proposals would be anything we've done before, I didn't.
Yeah, no, okay,
I only,
that's great.
because the other one, I was worried that just the times of when they were gonna is
Yeah.
right over swim team, so I just wanted to.
So that's even better, it's amazing that you're gonna be cleaning it 7 times a day. Okay, so do I have a motion to approve the Premier proposal, 7 days a week cleaning?
Motion.
Second,
Second.
any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, great, and then you'll follow up with Lisa on the, movie night, I mean, it's not a big rush. It's
Yes,
gonna be-
absolutely.
And then, I saw the newsletter is gonna have a whole insert on the pools, on the schedules and everything, so that's fantastic. Residents will have that at their fingertips. And,
I just saw your notes from the meeting today for the amenities committee. Did want to update you, the pool schedule here at Tomlinson, absolutely 10 AM. That was meant to be a 10 AM start time. I don't know how that moved to 11 by accident.
okay,
But the Friday nights in late August through September,
Mhm.
we can probably pull off the Labor Day weekend. The rest of them, a lot of our guards are high school guards, stuff like that. They're very involved in their schools and activities, so it's very difficult. That's why we
Yeah.
weren't able to do it last year.
okay,
We can certainly try to have that in, but that would be the only concern is
Yeah.
just getting the staffing that time of year is very difficult.
okay, that makes sense, that makes absolute sense. The other, last thing I wanted to add, and then I'll go to you, Director Young, is they did add swim lessons. So, kiddos, to help spread the word, to all the parents that there are swim lessons, a master swim class. Was there a third thing?
Master swim class was part of
The time.
the
That,
Tidal
okay,
Waves
okay, you
right
guys
now.
are doing that, okay, and, the aerobics.
The water aerobics, a couple nights a week. So Apache will still be open, we'll just utilize 2 of the lanes and they'll be able to utilize the other 4.
Yeah,
For swim lessons, we'll do the morning swim lessons here at Tomlinson, and then the afternoon swim lessons utilizing 2 lanes prior to water aerobics at Apache.
great.
So we shouldn't impact the residents too much with that, we make sure to kind of look at that.
Yeah, I think residents can be really happy to bring all that back, thank
And we'll
you.
be ready to start registration on Friday, I believe.
Okay, great, Director Young.
So we've got another movie item on the agenda. I'm wondering if maybe before Mark leaves, we talk about it and maybe consider pushing together or.
We're tabling that item,
Okay,
so I'll explain that a little bit later, but yeah,
okay.
okay. Great, okay, yes, Director.
Did I see
Jones.
that the swim lessons are $5 a class?
No, that
Oh.
is, the swim lessons are $85 for the 2-week session.
Okay,
The $25 I believe it's 25 and 5 is the water aerobics.
Water.
So that's the month long,
Okay.
that's 25 and then $5 if they just drop in.
gotcha, okay.
Great.
I was gonna say that's extremely competitive.
Is there any resident that's actually doing swim lessons in the pool that's doing them privately?
Not that I'm aware of.
So I was given word that that's going on.
I haven't heard of
I've
it.
not heard.
Maybe just monitor, I don't know who it is, but maybe monitor if they appear to be giving swim lessons.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So if a dad takes his daughter to the swimming pool and his teacher
Well,
like,
I think she's talking about, I think he's talking about organizing getting paid.
Yeah, they're getting paid to do it.
Right,
okay,
that's where we normally put a stop to it, is if there's another company coming in
Yeah.
to do
Well,
it,
then
or
maybe
even a
just an
private
individual.
individual that's getting paid to do it. It puts a little bit of liability on you because you don't know if they're insured or not, and anything like that. So
Yep.
Yeah,
It's definitely something that we try to help.
I'll try to find out who it was. It was told to me, so, but I didn't get any names or anything, so.
Okay, thank you, Mark,
Thank you.
have a good evening. All right, nope, I think we're good.
All right, Mark, thank you.
Priority landscapes, Tripp.
All right, so if you don't mind, I'd like to start out with my 2 cents about Lisa. Well, I just want to say, she's been great to work with, and very on top of everything, and communication's great, so, not that she wanted my 2 cents.
Well, I'd asked you last time, so.
It's good to have.
Thank you.
Just a couple things. First of all, I want to remind everybody, weekly service starts next week, so we'll be back here every week. Other than that, we're on schedule for all of our spring. We got the mulch done, and we're doing turf applications, and we have an ant control to take care of. So as far as maintenance, that's really all there is. I had submitted a proposal for Beckett. And what it sounds like that will be tabled for the disc golf course. Other than that, another was one, there may be just some discussion about Creek Run and the right-of-way area that needs to be cleared. I don't.
Oh, yeah, we can go ahead and just discuss that. That's, what number is that, guys?
Is it 23B we're talking about?
23B, yes. Okay, so right of way between Nebraska Furniture Mart track and Blockhouse Creek Elementary School, so right across from the elementary school. Director Young, we put this on the agenda. Director Young, do you wanna
Yeah,
talk about it?
I just noticed that they're doing a lot of clearing out. By the time they're done building it, we're gonna have a wall. And I think as a board, we need to figure out what we want to do with that land. I would love to keep the trees there, maybe get them on an irrigation plan, maybe get a walking trail along that area. But before we start asking if we can do the maintenance there, I think the board needs to agree which direction we want to go with that area. And if so, then we may need legal to ask Williamson County if we can, commandeer that land or whatever. So if anybody else has any other thoughts?
So I can offer some thoughts, yeah, so I've researched it, and if we're talking about the same area, which I believe is here, right?
Yes.
And so this right away, I think at 10 foot on the south side of the road, you guys have a license agreement in place with Williamson County that I think goes all the way along Creek Run. So it's 10 feet and you can landscape. I don't know if you can build a path. I can go back and look at it, but you certainly have the ability to landscape within that right away.
Yeah, so I think the minimum would be to just clear the brush, leave the oaks and any other of those nicer trees and.
Those within the first 10 feet of it?
Right.
Okay, yeah.
There's a lot of dead brush in there right now.
Yeah, and there's also a lot of limbs that are dead on some of those larger oaks. And so I would like to discuss, should we start moving in that direction, cleaning those trees up and getting that to be a part of the normal thing?
Do you want to start with maybe getting a proposal from Tripp and have them bring back and then we can have a discussion?
We actually do have an estimated not to exceed at the moment. Tripp and I have actually walked and driven that area and kind of discussed the scope of work, if you will. Not sure if it matters at the moment, but.
It could be something to put in for a future agenda item,
Yeah,
the board's again further discuss with the detail and
Yeah.
folks can see. I think I appreciate you being proactive on that. I think it's very helpful.
And also just like how I started about that, but the first track is actually owned by a different developer, that green belt area, then, so there's a fence line that's along there as well. So there's not that much room, I guess, because of the fence, but, and then I guess what you're doing is connecting with, there's also a Southwestern Bell or telephone communications building along there as well, that's on that property.
Yeah. So, but we're just talking about the 10 feet. Regardless of who owns the property behind it.
I guess the purpose is just cleaning it up more than anything.
Yeah, right now it's just like a strip of brush and not so nice, whereas NFM, they're working to clear their side of it. And maybe there's some space in between that we need to figure out who owns that and if we can get them to clean it up or if we own it or.
They own it all the way to the.
Yeah.
They do, but there will be, I think, discussion. We can discuss more in the NFM update, but I think going forward, there'll need to be some discussion, particularly in that piece, because some of their buffer area, I think they don't anticipate people having access to, but obviously that stretch will unlikely be fenced, I suspect, when it's all said and done. So what they've been telling us.
If I had to guess, I would think that at the time y'all got that license agreement, which I think was in 2003, probably not landscaping there made it blend in with what was going on the track just to the south side of it. So I'm guessing that was probably intentionally done. But now circumstances have changed, so.
Stands out now.
And then if it's the case that we've got our 10 feet covered, then maybe we need to be sending a letter to NFM to like, hey, would you guys also please clean this up?
Yeah.
This is gonna be part of your.
Yeah, let's wait till that happens, so. Okay, let's put on the agenda for March, and we'll get a proposal, I know you guys have an not to exceed, but, okay?
Director Logan, I have a quick question for
Yes.
Tripp, for an item for potential future agenda to raise you as well.
Yeah.
Given the dryness of the winter and the dryness of the spring and the summer, could we maybe do a future agenda item for next meeting talking about places we might do any brush clearing for wildfire purposes? I'm a little worried we're gonna have a nice, unpleasantly dry, hot summer. So don't want to have a repeat of what, about 10 years ago, and everybody had fires in the neighborhood. I know y'all been working on it, but,
Across the street, right?
yeah, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, Tripp and Lisa have been working through the trails and identifying stuff, so, yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, Tripp, anything else?
That's all I've got.
All right, have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank
Stay
you.
warm.
Thank you, Trip.
It's chilly out there. Okay, make sure I'm on the right agenda item. We just did 7A. We're tabling 7A and 8. Title A is Amanda.
Hello. So our schedule is up for approval tonight. We have the first half, which is in the evenings, and then we switch to the second half, which is mornings. And then our meet schedule attached to it also.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the schedule in the packet?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? And you're gonna send this over to Mark afterwards?
He has it already.
I
Yes,
know.
so we'll have his contracts with him. I was gonna ask if we hire him which we will hire him, can he submit the pool chemicals for us also, or do we have to be taking chemicals in conjunction with him? Because it's in our contract that we have to submit chemicals.
Huh?
You mean test?
Just have him do it.
So that's okay if he
Yeah.
submits? with-
Yeah, I think that's
okay.
better, not the
That
same
would be
person.
easier on
Yeah, yeah,
I know he's got record. Yeah.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
I am supportive but abstaining.
Awesome, thank you.
Great, thank you. It's nice seeing you.
Nice seeing you.
Have a good evening.
Thank you. Okay, item 10, proposal 158 from 1836 Plumbing. This is for the pool guard shack repiping and isolation shut-off valve. So it's copper piping and a shut-off valve, which will shut off the water in a shack, but you can keep the water on in the bathroom. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve? For
Motion.
$16,500. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. Director Johnson?
Yes, I have a question. So cosmetic repairs are not included. Does that mean when they go through the wall, that's not gonna be included?
It's not gonna be included, but the walls right now need to be repaired because of the previous freeze damage.
Okay.
All of the piping in there is actually copper piping, so it didn't matter how much insulation we were adding to it, copper piping, no matter what, is gonna split. Also, in October, you have an initiative from TCEQ that tells us that all copper piping has to be removed anyway, so this actually gives us a head up to be able to get that completed.
Okay.
So that will actually all be taken care of with a little bit of money from TML to be able to assist with that repairs as well.
What's the name of the piping that we're using?
PEX.
PEX, which is the blue and the red piping.
The one that stretches when it freezes.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got some comments.
For sure.
So I inquired about the PEX piping, and it's not the best quality. And copper's much better, and the rodents can eat through the PEX piping, because I've got people in the plumbing business. And it's a very low grade, I mean, it's usually the cheapest material you can use. Is there another option?
TCEQ doesn't allow lead and copper anymore, so copper is not an option. PEX is going to be your option.
Can we do something other than PEX, is what I'm asking.
Actually, to be honest with you, PEX is actually throughout all of the districts, and it's installed throughout of the properties after 1985. So
So the only two options.
PVC, your PVC PEX is actually your option. I mean, that's it.
Yeah, only because it's more susceptible to contamination, and, I mean, I did a lot of research today.
So do you have a recommendation?
That's why I'm asking, I do not. That's
Okay.
why I'm asking if the
That-
plumber would have some
All
other
plumbers
options.
are utilizing the PEX. There is no copper that can be used. You have a lead and copper rule. The TCEQ is asking everybody to remove all copper because of the contaminant.
Knew that.
So
but-
that's not an option.
Is
So
there-
PEX is your option. It's what everybody's using now.
I mean, can I comment briefly?
Sure,
Are you
of
still,
course.
who's the
No,
floor
I
still?
just was making my point
Okay,
that.
well,
that
David,
was-
I didn't know.
Yeah. We got your point,
Just real
Shoemaker
quick,
then Johnson.
my understanding is that if you could use PVC, that it is just as susceptible to the freeze issue as, I mean, I guess the underlying issue, Director Roberts, I think, is that, to my understanding, the only option that is viable to be freeze-proof for really low temperatures is PEX. I don't believe that for the extremely, like, we had this last winter, right, where temperatures got in the single digits, right? For that stuff, which exceeds all the building codes down here, right? Like, we're up north, right, where everything's like built like a 6-inch or a foot freeze line.
Yeah,
you could get away with like something else, but my understanding is if you get cold weather that exceeds your code for construction, and you wanna be freeze-proof, the only real option is PEX. So I guess the flip side is like,
yeah,
I mean, I guess if we wanna spend this kind of money every time we have a hard freeze, like, I mean, I guess that's my only thing, is that I don't think we have another option we can use, man.
Okay,
Well, by
Director,
October, you will have to remove it no matter what anyway.
yeah, it has to be.
But yeah,
Director Johnson?
Well, that's essentially what I was gonna ask you, so, you know, copper's not an option per TCEQ, is there something besides PEX, but I guess,
the only reason I've never heard of anything that is freeze-proof is the issue, right? This is like,
yeah,
warm setting, there might be something else, but the problem is, if we need it to survive very cold weather, I don't think.
well, you can freeze-proof it by insulating the pipes and thermo-heating them, I mean.
Well, but I guess the problem sorry, here's your hand, sorry.
Yeah,
Well, I guess part of the issue is the shack, though, this is in the guard shack, right?
Yeah.
Okay. We don't, correct me if I'm wrong, the guard shack, is it fully HVAC, where it's like fully heated and
No.
cooled?
No.
Okay, that's, I think, the issue, is like, if we had it climate controlled, you could get away with something else maybe, but I think the problem is unless we're gonna climate control the room, it's still going, our building code is not up to standard, and that's not our fault, that's like in Texas, right? You were talking to folks, like, I talked to state agencies, right, you're like, my point is like, short of rebuilding the guard shack to a, like, different standard of construction, I don't think there's anything we can do on the extreme low end of the temperatures or long duration events to insulate it sufficiently if it's not climate controlled. I guess it was like, we can make it have full HVAC and heat, or,
which might be cheaper. than to
I
do
don't know.
it.
No, it's 60.
I don't know, have you
No,
priced these
yeah,
lately?
We have done this 3 years, 3 freezes in a row, we have done this frozen, so maybe it'd be cheaper to, the Apache doesn't freeze,
To
so.
actually speak on that point, first of all, Apache doesn't freeze because you have a boiler system in there, that's first off.
Right.
Secondly, this guard shack and the pump house actually are not split off. You have a 1 1/4 inch pipe that's coming into it, and that doesn't have a split valve. So you have to keep the water open at the guard shack in order to be able to run the pumps at the pools. And that's a 10-inch line. You can't go in and turn it off from one and let that 10-inch line split. So you have to allow for the water to keep running. The only way to bypass this is to, one, add a split valve to your 1 1/4 inch piping that you have right now. Take out the copper that you have in there, because we do have the copper actually insulated. Doesn't matter what you do to copper, no matter what, it's gonna split. That's all there is to it.
When it gets cold enough,
When it gets cold enough, that's all there is to it. So in order to be able to fix this, we put a split valve in, so that way you can isolate the guard shack to itself, allow for that PEX to be able to work as it's supposed to, insulate it properly, that way you don't have any issues in the future.
Okay, all right, so are we ready to vote? All in favor of, proposal 158?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Yeah, I'm just gonna abstain from it, but I do have one question.
Are you opposed or abstaining?
No, but I'm a no vote. But the question David had is on the cosmetic
You need to be
repairs.
Are you voting no or you're not voting?
I'm voting no.
Okay,
Sorry
thanks.
for the confusion. But, so what exactly, I mean, are they, when it says cosmetic repairs are not included, what happens if there is cosmetic? Is that gonna be additional cost to the district?
There is going to be cosmetic repairs. They're gonna have to remove sheet rock in order to take out all of the copper piping currently, but right now
It's
you
not
do.
the same contractor that we used before, is
It
it?
is.
Oh
Yes.
dear, okay.
Yes, we've had great results with that contractor, actually.
Okay, anything else? Can we move on? Great, okay, we are tabling 11, and we are at 12, report from amenities subcommittee. We've met several times, I don't think we really have anything to report, I think that's just gonna it's our memos in the packet, thank you. Okay, 13, amenity security meeting, memos in the packet. Thank you, Lovato, for just always being available and meeting with us. Really a pleasure to work with you.
So what happened to the other one, number 11?
So we're,
She was pending that.
Okay, pending.
we're actually, it's $900, and she's just gonna go ahead and do it under her authority, and so we're not going through all this.
Okay,
Okay.
so maybe we shouldn't put this on the agenda then?
That's correct, and when we were going through the agenda, we saw that, and that's why I struck it out.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely, you're right. Okay, number 14, PR Communications Subcommittee, the memo's in the packet. There's no special events. I guess the special event's gonna be the safety day that we're working with the Easter on.
Too.
The what?
The Easter egg hunt,
That's not really our event. We're not doing that.
kind of ours.
No, it's not. But the safety day, the town hall is gonna be really exciting. We got hold of this lady that does fentanyl training, fentanyl abuse training, and she's gonna hand out Narcan, and Wilco's gonna be there. The OA is gonna have bike helmets giveaway and different things, so I think it's gonna be a really good event. We're targeting April 13th from 1 to 3. We'll confirm that by the end of the week and start communicating it. Okay?
And I'll see if we can bring our SWAT vehicle too.
Yes.
Thank you, that'd be very awesome.
Yeah. Okay.
We've had some issues with schedules and not knowing where and everything, so one of the things that, for the pools and such, one of the things that we should expect in the upcoming newsletter is a full page of all the different schedules for the tidal wave, so everybody can stick it on the refrigerator and know when everything's gonna happen.
That
So
looks good.
That should reduce some of the confusion that we've had, so.
No, it's really good. I saw it. She shared it in our pools subcommittee, and it looked really good. Anything else in the newsletter? Okay, anything on transparency? Okay, resident survey. Do you guys have an update for us?
Go ahead. We have settled on SurveyMonkey.
Good.
It's not a lot of money. I think it's coming out of the GM's account, but we just, as of yesterday, I think David and I have accounts to start populating. We're gonna need to set up a meeting and kind of work through that, but hoping to have this ready to fire by the next meeting.
Great.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the work, and I appreciated being able to review those. Did you guys get feedback from everyone?
We got lots of feedback.
You did get feedback?
We got feedback.
Okay.
From one other director, yes, you.
Okay. All right,
And
well, you got it.
We'll give you, yes.
No, well,
Yeah.
so,
The only question I have is that I'm not comfortable with 2 board members having access to Monkey Survey on a survey that's going out that should be not biased by anyone, and I just would recommend that it only be the GM and the staff that has that access.
Well, the questions are going out as written and reviewed by everybody. Do you mean the results or the questions
Well, I
themselves?
just don't know that it's almost like 2 board members have access to an account that they shouldn't have, is the only concern I've got. I think it should only be the GM has those access to, it's kind of like the security cameras, none of us know how to get into those either, and that's kind of the way I would look at it, just so that we don't get anybody pointing the fingers, well, they had their hands in it, they got the result, and I just think that would be the right thing to do, is y'all stay neutral on those when it goes out.
Well, I certainly don't want to influence the results, but like I said, the wording that's gonna be in the survey, like that you will receive, and he or she.
Yes.
Later.
Sorry, guys.
Will
Give
be
me
exactly
the
what
advisory
was reviewed, so,
Yeah.
I think we're just trying to take a load off of Lisa and Amy by helping them type it in, but certainly if there's any discrepancies in what goes out, it'll be accidental, but we can certainly correct it.
Lisa will have the final say on making
Yeah.
sure that they are
That might be a good quality assurance.
unbiased,
Yeah.
but we're gonna be doing the work as opposed to having a PR firm come in and do all the pounding it out. I don't think that they have enough time to kind of get that.
But we can do that,
Bring
we can make sure that Lisa's quality controlling it, just to make sure, and then she'll get the results,
And
so.
then when she gets it, there's nothing wrong with her saying, I believe this is an unbiased question, sending it out to everybody.
Yeah.
Get your feedback, and then if she agrees, then we can go from there. But
If Lisa has a question, you can ask us for.
I guess I was taking your comment more as you're more concerned about when the results come in, not,
Oh, I missed that.
that's,
Yeah, I think exactly what you just said.
yeah,
because
so, and I don't think they have any
I
part of
don't want
that.
them to have access to the results,
They-
because
they won't.
none of the rest of us do.
Yeah,
Well, and actually, SurveyMonkey, we all could have access to the results, because you can't do anything with them. Like, I've done SurveyMonkeys before, and you look at the report, you look at the results, but you're, like, they're not
I mean,
gonna
there's
be-
back-end control, so.
so I'd be perfectly comfortable with saying, once we get the results,
Mhm.
not the results. I don't mean
Or
results,
the
the questions,
recording done.
once we get the questions done,
Yeah.
to take that load off of Lisa, than discontinuing our accounts, as
Yeah.
long as she has access to results.
Yeah, so there's
That's good.
there's 3 accounts that can get in there and manipulate it, but I don't have a problem with doing a password reset and not having it or
Change your
reading it.
access control.
There you go.
That's all it is.
Okay, just kick them off.
All right, I think that's a good, meet in the middle. Okay, anything, oh, I don't know, I was gonna ask, do you guys have a target date for when we're gonna launch it?
No, only because we're trying to see how much effort it's gonna take to get all the questions in there.
Okay,
But maybe we can send out an update through Lisa. with
yeah, if you
that
wouldn't
target
mind,
date.
I'd just like to,
I hesitate to give one right now.
good deal. All right, restricted covenants, do we have anything from Cam or the subcommittee?
The only thing I think worthy of noting is that they're sending out final notices on a few houses. We asked if, nothing's ready to bring to the board this meeting, but if certain things aren't taken care of by next meeting, 2 or 3 houses might come to the board to decide if we want to proceed.
The only other thing I've mentioned to you is the memo. If y'all read the memo, there's an update from Jack on trash cans.
Yeah.
We've asked for Will to give us a legal memo on that we can share with the board later. So if there's any questions on that topic from residents or board members, we are working on getting something for everybody to see.
Thank you.
Yeah, the only thing that I'm noticing is that, can they kind of pay attention to, like, some of these houses in the older section, there's like fences that are starting to get dilapidated. They've got, you can see the junk that's, because the fences are falling. And I just was wondering if we could do a little bit tighter drive-bys and reporting of those.
So I think Jack has gotten some more help recently
Yes.
over there at CAMS. I
Okay.
think we're gonna start seeing some more action on people coming around more often.
Right.
Yeah,
And it's tough too, because the quality of the drive-bys, for lack of a better word, the quality of the drive-bys is not necessarily tied to how quickly if they fix it, or if they fix it, right? They could ignore every memo and then it's here, so it's problematic. But depending on which houses you're speaking of, they may actually be on this list, because I think that an extra person has been for a week or 2 at least at this point, maybe 3 weeks. So anyway,
I think 3 weeks.
we've definitely been relaying that concern about trash cans and general unsightliness to CAM, and they are responding, so.
Okay.
maybe a little memorandum, for Lisa, for the next mail out or something, or is, check your trash cans, know that these are violations, and just keep the neighborhood in good condition. Maybe just a little message out on something like that. Because, it just does impact our values, and it's critical.
Okay, is,
Thank y'all.
finance and audit, is she on the call?
She is, right behind you.
Oh, she just went away. Oh, there she is.
There
she goes.
And Tyler's,
Hello. Okay.
All right, I'll run through your financial report really quick. All of you have met Tyler, I know previously, but he is going to be attending your meeting soon. So wanted to come make an introduction. You'll see both of us, but just wanted you to have kind of another face as well. All right, for your financials today, checks for your approval begin with check 22071. And I had 2 supplemental checks, 22098 and 22099 were sent out separately. We had 3 transfers for your approval this month, and then no investments. If you look at page 111 of your packet, your tax report, you're about 93% collected through the month of January, so that's pretty good. Again, you'll see some of that trickle in February as well. And then the other item that I wanted to point out was just your quarterly investment report for the period ending December 31st. Again, this is reporting all of your money market activity as well as your CDs. And then that very last page shows your summary of pledged securities.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve? Any questions? Nope, okay.
Motion to approve.
Payment of bills, invoices, funds, transfers, and investments.
Second.
Sorry, yes.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, number 20, resolution authorizing transfers of funds and payments of expenses. Sean?
Board members, we talked about this. I circled back with both Lisa and Taylor on this one. In sum, this provides for you to delegate authority for the signing of checks, which is provided for in the water code and noted in this resolution. Taylor or Lisa, feel free to jump in here, but the process that's being envisioned here is that Taylor and Mark Burton of MAC will sign checks in advance of the meeting, and then upon, I think, final approval of all the proposed payments, Lisa will then countersign those checks for the third signature.
So we'll maintain just to clarify, we'll maintain all of our authority to approve a decision.
All you're doing is pass along the actual physical signing of the checks.
Okay, Tyler, just kind of, what do you say? Do you guys have anything to add to that? No, okay, do I have a motion to approve the resolution?
Motion.
Second,
Second.
any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you. Are all the checks signed? Do we need to have?
I have the ones for director signed. Lisa, have you signed yours?
Before my consent as well. Do we have one up to Tyler and Ashley, please?
Sure.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, 21, special project account and the fence project.
So, several months back, y'all had asked about, well, I think Taylor had brought up the fact that we had a dedicated fund dating back to 17, it's been, yeah. And so I worked back through the minutes of district meetings from back then and did confirm that, in some, it was essentially designated as right-of-way improvements, which is, from my perspective, the fence project. I think that you guys have latitude to utilize those funds as you see fit anyway. But to confirm, I think when those were dedicated in the special project account, I think they were specifically dedicated for the purpose for right-of-way improvements, which includes the fence project.
Okay, so that's that, so we don't have to discuss that anymore, we're all clear on that. Anything on the fence project itself? Or do you wanna, we can go ahead and jump to,
We do have proposals on under 24H, I, J, and K. So essential, to just start out with the fence project, we do have a lot of movement right now from two companies that are currently installing fiber around the district. I know you've seen OK Tex, they've actually been on the backside of Scottsdale. We just recently found out that we have another company that's actually in the district as well, or contractor, A&A contractors out of Houston. And so they are also working with Ben and Galena in regard to their scope, so they haven't provided it to us yet, but we are going to see them utilizing a lot more of the backyard easements as opposed to just the outside portion of the fencing, the right-of-way fencing. So I do have 3 proposals on the agenda today that I would like for approval on, and I'll discuss those. But after this discussion, I would like to consider us maybe tabling any further fence repairs until they are out of the district, because we don't know what they're actually going to tear up. It's just gonna be a lot of movement.
or where they're gonna be?
Or where they're gonna be at.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, it's just a catch-22 to go out there and install new fencing and then, go out and happen to have an accident or anything to that effect where we lose that fencing.
Yeah, there's a nice 2x3 chunk of sidewalk at Spot Eagle and
Yes.
Creek Run is just sitting
Yes.
on the side that those folks kindly removed for us
Yes.
and failed to replace.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Don't they have to restore it?
We're supposed to restore it. Now, this is gonna offer a little primer here, unfortunately, and this is AT&T. Is
So
that-
AT&T fiber,
Yeah. So, to be sure, I've had this pop up in no less than 5 districts that I represent.
Which we're happy to have fiber.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're glad for the work.
Couple in Wilco, more difficult in unincorporated areas like y'all are at. I've had 3 districts in the city of Lakeway that have had this issue, and luckily they have some municipal rulemaking authority. And when they showed up in the neighborhoods, they were tearing up all kinds of things, gas leaks, et cetera. And unfortunately, they have every right to be there. This actually goes back to old AG opinions based on telecom considerations. So unfortunately, in these public utility easements, they have a lot of rights to install whatever they're putting in. Here, telecom considerations, and unfortunately, they should be remediating and getting it back to where it was prior to, but in some instances, they don't always do that. So I think document to the extent we can, and certainly, I think the MUD can kind of serve as a go-between to help folks out there.
So what is the timeline for AT&T before we can hit the ground running again with this extra budget that we've identified?
So we won't know timeline. What we're finding out with the fiber contract is actually that they have more contracts that are going up for bid. So we could possibly see even more contractors coming into the district. I know that OK Tex and A&A both are up for bid on several of those additional areas. So you might start seeing them, in the vineyard areas and so forth. You might see them further down into the Apache area and so forth. It really is going to be a matter of who's actually winning those contracts. So we don't know exactly how long that's going to take. They could be here the rest of the year.
Okay, so the rest of the year, where this is not gonna be a 5-year project, it's not gonna,
I'm not
it
sure.
could be done in another 2-3 months.
It just depends, it just
yeah.
depends on what their scope is and what they've given as far as timeframe is concerned.
Okay,
So there really is not a pinpointing as to say,
and my next question, when, you know, we've got this other budget set aside since 2017, however much percentage that we've completed so far, how much is that budget gonna get us for 100% completion?
that really does depend. I've actually been working with Sean a little bit, and I do have 2 other contractors besides Sagamore Fencing, that once we're ready to go in and have them bid a more extensive area, we will actually bring that back. What I've been discussing with several of the contractors is we'll be able to get more work done as far as the fencing is concerned, whenever we take on a larger area, giving them an opportunity, them as the subcontractors, to go out and purchase wholesale on the materials, as opposed to doing it by linear foot, by certain sections, in smaller quantities, if you will. So once we're able to, like I said, find out where the AT&T is not gonna be at, and a larger section that we're able to take on, we'll have these 3 contractors come out and bid from a wholesale perspective to try and bring that price down, to see how much more linear feet we'll be able to get with the money that we have currently. What I would like to do next month is bring back to you all proposals for just the staining on the fencing that has already been installed, just the staining only. I'll bring in 3 contractors that will be able to mark and give you pricing on just those areas, again, that have been installed thus far.
So, let's go ahead and look at these couple proposals. What I do want to mention real quick to Mr. Overcasher, who was here earlier, and didn't want to stay for this portion, and to all residents, and to the board, is that we're doing this now, and the way we're doing it, because our residents voted against us spending bond money to completely redo it in one fell swoop. So that was the residents' will. That's where we are today, and that's why we're trying to get the money to do what we can, and that's why we're prioritizing it on the worst case fences. And we're probably not gonna be able to do the entire thing, to be quite honest. So if people are expecting every single fence post to be completely fixed, I don't think that's probably gonna happen with $375,000.
Director Logan, I think one of the problems you face is that, you know, as a neighborhood, that replacing the whole fence at once creates a block obsolescence problem too.
Exactly.
That we've always confronted, because we've never treated it as a regular maintenance item, we treat it as a capital project, but it's a wasting item, right? The wood deteriorates, and once we get this initial round of fencing replaced, we probably should migrate to a model of, as sections get worn, they are replaced on a proactive basis, so you don't have to come back through and replace the whole fence again, because it's a large cost. And honestly, like, I think people should bear in mind, the neighborhood is built out, you know, real estate home values, right? It's unlikely until interest rates come down, we're probably gonna see a moderation, flattening decline. And so, you know, we're a mature neighborhood, there's expenses, but we don't have a rapidly growing tax base, nor we have a large tax base with non-commercial non-residential taxpayers. I think that migrating to a model where this is done as a regular maintenance item, particularly since the residents disapproved of the bond, where we treat it as a capital item, I think, and I get the frustration of residents. I mean, I get that they want something done. I'd like to have a nicely fixed up fence too, but it's going to take time to transition to a new model of handling this issue.
Right, and then again, spending money on the BG&E database is gonna help us with that. And then we can put it in there, and we can manage the making it, you know, different ship spaces, whatever. Director Johnson, did you wanna say something?
Well, I have a question, but it's about the AT&T stuff, so maybe we should do that after the proposals.
Okay, Director Young.
So let me just drill a little bit longer with you, Lisa. And I'm hoping that you've done some of the math already, but whatever we've spent and whatever percentage that is, you know, that's what it is. Then we have budget for kind of a burst. I don't know if that's gonna get us halfway through the fence, all the way through the fence, or another 15. Without going like, hey, we're gonna get cheaper prices or whatever, but at the rate that we've been spending on what we've gotten fixed, can we get a rough estimate that once we have that full access to that budget and we're getting things done and we've got 3 contractors building a fence, how far will that get us?
If we work diligently, again, with the wholesale prices, we would be hopefully maybe tackling roughly about maybe 4,000 linear feet We are a little bit over 1,000 linear feet right now that we've already replaced at over 80,000. The estimates that you see in there now will take us to right at the $100,000 mark, and that's not including the staining yet. So that would probably get us to, like I said, roughly about maybe 4,000 or 5,000 linear feet of fencing.
Okay, and how many linear feet do we have for the?
30,000.
30,000, so that would put us at about a sixth of the way through. And if we're gonna go with the plan of, hey, this is gonna be just an annual project, or every 2 years, we're gonna check out some fences. As we go through this, I mean, we're gonna have these things dated and figure out like, hey, this one's been 10 years, or if it lasts for 15 years, then we're gonna need to do that. So as we go through this, I think between the voters voting not to do it as one big bonded expense, we need to start mapping out like, hey, this is what happens every even year, this is what happens every odd year, this is what happens every presidential election and midterms, or whatever it is. But let's go ahead and have that plan, and so that by the time we are complete, then we know when the next.
And again,
rounds go
that's
through.
the using the database tool is going to make it very easy for that, so, okay.
Yeah, I do have a comment. Is there any reason why, Sean, that we can't just bid the whole project out and at least get an estimate of what it would cost us, and maybe we could get them to lock down a price for 9 months or something, you know, or with some potential increases because of cost of lumber if they were there. But I mean, is there any reason why we couldn't just do the whole project and identify what it would cost us, and then maybe we could lock that contract in and be a little bit more, proactive with the repairs?
Well, you have to competitively bid that, so there certainly be costs associated with competitively bidding it. I think the biggest reason, I think the anticipated cost would exceed what we can afford right now.
Exactly. No, I knew that, but I'm just saying it would be at least something that we would have something, because there's no answer on who's gonna be on this board in 2 years or next 2 years, you know, so it's just, if we can lock it down and know what the board's intent was, is to maintain that fence and that right of way, maybe it's just something we could all look at least have some idea.
I'm not sure that locking down something is actually, it's like throwing a dart, I mean, into a bullseye, for the fact that the lumber cost alone and the labor expense and the time frame. Like I said, if you're able to actually not lock down, but actually sign a contract with a contractor, then specifically I'm aware of it because Treviso actually did it with Sagamore Fencing, where they actually locked in, signed the actual contract, allowed for them to go out and purchase the lumber at a wholesale price, the entirety of it, and then they actually stored it at their complex. That's the only way you can lock somebody in at a certain price. Other than that, the price of lumber and the price of steel are gonna flux so much.
That's not a bad idea what they did, so, I mean, at least they were thinking, but the other question I have real quick, is just a thought, I mean, I think it's something to consider, is that when they're doing, Sagamore's doing it, you know, the cap, the stone cap is, if you look at the old fence, it's dropped below the cap, and now they're coming up onto the cap. Is there a reason why they've done that?
They're actually putting it up to where the fence line, or the pole line, if you will, is not settled. Your cap on all of your columns is already settled. So what they're doing is actually giving you a full-on 6 foot of the actual fencing where it's supposed to be at.
I don't think that's true, but because I've been here since they put the other one up. But aesthetically, it doesn't look good, having it come right up on the cap versus going underneath it. Because if you drive other neighborhoods, you'll see the fence goes underneath the cap. I mean, the actual boards do, and it just looks aesthetically much nicer. I'm just noticing it as I drive by it, and I was wondering if there's a reason why they're doing it like that. Because I know that we've replaced it before, and it's been below the cap.
Anybody that pours cement knows that all of that, again, that steel piping, it's gonna settle. So if they put it below the
5 inches?
You don't know how much that cement's gonna.
We've replaced this fence many times. I'm just saying, I disagree with you, but I understand what you're saying. I just wanted to know why. Now, my next question is, what is the scope that these contractors are bidding off of? Can we see the written scope?
Sure.
Okay, can you, because I would like to know that they're all on the same page.
Okay, so let's go. Okay, and then we need to rush it, okay?
Okay, well, I mean, this is on topic. There are columns that are aging and kind of falling apart. At this point, we haven't taken any column repairs going on, so that's going to be a whole nother expense. From what you understand of those columns, where are we at? How many, like 10% of them need repair?
I haven't even gone out to look at them. You probably have a ton of columns out there right now that are probably hollow. I mean, depending on who actually repaired them or replaced them or installed them from the get-go. I mean, again, you've got a lot of wear and tear in regards to your ground and how it shifted.
Yeah, I think this is an excellent question. I think I'm a little worried we're drifting off from our
Yes.
approval of things, but I do think maybe next meeting or meeting after we could have like maybe an agenda item to discuss the fence construction, the project more broadly, right?
Okay.
You know?
Some of the,
And leading into the budget
Okay,
for coming
let's-
up
let's
next
read-
year's.
We're moving on.
Discuss it in broad.
Okay,
We need to get those
24H.
We've got an agenda item for next month. We're gonna bring this up. Is that?
Yes.
absolutely.
Yeah.
24H, we're moving on, everyone. 24H, I, J, and K. It's a Sagamore Fence has a proposal, and then there's 3 for Austin Tex. Lisa, will you please give us your recommendation?
Yes, I do still recommend Sagamore fencing. They are coming in at a little bit less than $2,000. I asked Sagamore to do 2 options. I also asked Ostech to do the same thing. So on Sagamore, you'll be able to see on their proposal that they did 147 linear feet pole to pole. That actually will cover the backyards of the residents that have called in that have had issues. I know Mr. Overcasher had mentioned he was wondering how these actual addresses were picked. We have an 84-year-old resident that actually needed assistance in regards to her fencing. We have a single mother that actually had her fence falling down, and also another fence, same thing. Their fences were literally falling down. So that's why we picked these 3 addresses to be able to get those repaired. And other people have fallen into that category. They weren't, randomly picked. They were calling in telling us they're extreme need, having holes in their fencing. So again, I asked Sagamore Fencing to do linear feet by pole to pole. So if we do 147 linear feet, they came in at $6,541.50. Ostech came in and did linear feet for the same 3 addresses at 142 linear feet for $8,536.90. I also did ask Sagamore, since they were already mobilized in those specific areas, if they would consider giving me a proposal from not pole to pole, but column to column, which would cover more space because they were already mobilized. At a column to column, that would actually come out to 367 linear feet at $16,331.50. So it really is just more about mobilizing and actually getting more area covered at the same time, as opposed to doing just a minimal backyard of the residents that had an issue.
Okay, so do I have a motion to approve Sagamore Fence estimate 7406?
Motion.
Second.
All right, any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All in favor for the 16,000, for the 367 linear feet column to column? Or the lesser, 147?
What's the difference in dollars?
$10,000.
$9,750. Sorry.
So what's the
Sorry.
difference in going?
I think we're getting it cheaper going column to column, so let's go with that, because we do have budget for it.
Okay.
Okay.
To clarify, that's what my motion meant.
Yes, thank you. Okay. So report from Finance and Audit Subcommittee, anything on that?
No.
I don't think we have anything. Okay, Grange, yes.
Call for the vote, or did we just do motion?
Oh, I probably did. All in
Well,
favor?
first
I think you did.
Because I need
Yes, we all
I need a
said that.
second.
No, I got the motion in a second, I slipped it in.
Bye, Tyler.
Thank you, Tyler.
Bye.
Thank you, guys.
Gray Engineering,
Perfect.
David Gray looks a little younger.
A little bit more hair on the
Gray
top
hair.
end. Thank you, Ursula. Good evening, everyone. Before I begin, I just want to take a quick second and introduce myself. My name is Samir Sani. I'm a project manager at Gray. David unfortunately could not make today's meeting. He's expecting his 10th grandchild, so I'm in his place. So I'm David Gray for the day.
You don't have gray hair
Not
He's
yet.
working for David Gray.
Not
Okay.
yet.
All right, well, in regards to the Blockhouse recreational bond issue, we're currently finalizing the line items, cost within the bond issue and putting together the final bond application. We intend to present the final bond application to the board for review and approval prior to submitting it to TCEQ. And then the NFM site development plan, NFM's design engineer, they submitted the final plans to both the city and our firm for review. regarding NFM's post-developed flows into the district. Their final plans are consistent with the preliminary design that we reviewed and approved. So at this time, we have no further issue. Our office is still coordinating discussions with NFM's representatives regarding the level and type of compensation made by NFM. We have not yet reached an agreement, and that conversation is currently ongoing. So other than that, that really concludes my report unless any board member has
Thank
any
you.
comments or questions.
Thank you very much. We had a meeting with, on the bond,
Okay.
the amenities, I believe you were on that.
Yeah, David included me on it,
Okay,
just so I'm aware.
So you, Sean, were reaching out to Trent, is that correct? Was that the next
Mhm.
step?
Yep.
Okay, and so you'll give us an update, or do you have an update?
Yeah, I mean, Trent is, I think, available, so to
Okay.
be, yeah, and so, and the thought here is that we really need some additional color. Basically, Trent has provided for the majority of the facilities to be included in the bond app are, like mentioned in his master park plan. What we would like for him to do is to just expand on that a little bit. The equivalent of like a bond engineering report that gets utilized in the bond app, just a little bit more color for each of the facilities so that it's just not a single line item with a cost next to it. So we're hopeful. Trent was out of town at a conference, so waiting, I emailed him, so still waiting to hear back. So as a refresher, also running traps with the AG's office as previously discussed, so hopefully all that kind of coalesces at the same time.
Okay, great. And then nothing new on Nebraska Furniture Mart. I did have a call with David earlier, we did not discuss that, but we'll talk about that later. So everything's going good. Thank you very much for attending tonight. You're welcome.
It's
to stay if
nice,
you want.
nice to meet you all.
But you can
Nice
take
to
off
see
also.
you. All right, thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, next item is, we already covered that. Crossroads.
We're on 24, we just finished 24.
Oh, okay.
Hello.
How you guys doing?
Hi, Dan.
Good evening.
Good evening. All right, so this month, our water loss is down at 13%, excuse me. And I have two write-offs that we need approval for $119.60. So I'll get approval on to send those off.
When you say water loss is down, you mean there's less loss or
Sorry, last
there's
month
now
was,
more loss, so it's down?
last month was 16%, and this month we're at 13%, so that's
So
a good thing.
we've improved.
Yes, we've improved down to.
Positive loss.
Yes. That's right.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the two write-offs?
Motion.
Second.
In discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
And then on page 192 in your packet, we have a quote from HydroPro to swap out those 150 meters. And then on page 193 in your packet, we have a quote from Acoustic Leak Detection for the quote also to swap out 150. So I would need board approval on which route you guys want to take. Do you guys want to use the HydroPro quote or the?
Do you have a recommendation?
I don't, they're both great companies. We use them both. Just one is more expensive than the other, and I think it's just because they have a larger presence than the cheaper one. But it's entirely up to y'all's decision on this choice.
So although you're not recommending one, you're fully confident in Acoustic Leak's ability to do the work?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so do I have a motion from a director?
I move to approve the Acoustic Leak quote.
I'm trying to find is it in our packet?
Yeah.
It's,
Under
sorry,
19, I
it's a
think you
little,
said?
sorry, it's kind of, well, not, so like,
24
it's past
G.
the,
24G?
they're not subcategories,
Okay,
so it's-
24G.
Then there you
There we go, I found it, okay. I saw it, but I just didn't recognize it.
That's right.
Dave, or you made a motion to approve, right?
Acoustic Leak.
I make a second on that one, it's much cheaper.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Great,
Just a quick question about that,
Sure.
Ben, I'm sorry to put you on the spot. How many meters do we have that are north of $1 million?
Oh, there, so I have a running Excel sheet of about 200 plus, maybe 220.
Okay.
But I know the previous meeting, it was discussed, that it was only budgeted to change out 150.
Yeah, but so do we have any over 2 million? I'm just trying to.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, yeah.
this quote, whenever it is approved, they will start at the highest.
Yeah,
I think somewhere like 2,700,000. and then kind of goes down to 2,200,000. So
Yeah.
they're gonna get the oldest ones first out of this 150. So we're kind of knocking out the worst ones.
Yeah, I thought there was a couple close to 3 million and then 2 million.
So what sections are those mostly in?
They're all spread out, like on the Excel sheet, you know, we got some, you know,
They were
on Claudia,
sections.
and then we got some on, you know, on,
Was that in our packet last month, or did you just send it to me?
that was, I think I sent you the list, but then last month when Andrew was here, he just discussed on, like, the plan going forward.
Do you mind sending that list to the entire board then, just so they can see it?
Yes, the spreadsheet, the
Yeah.
Excel, yes.
Yeah,
got it.
okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Great, okay, did we, all in favor?
We did.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
good.
And then the last thing I would have would be, and I'm not sure, Sean, item 31, I don't know if I needed to be here to discuss that, or if that's just something that you discuss.
Sure, board members, do you mind if we jump right in?
Yeah, let's go ahead and jump into this.
It's a critical issue.
So, board members, behind tab 31, we have received a letter from the city of Cedar Park indicating that because of lake levels at Lake Travis, they are adopting a temporary stage 3 volumetric rate increase. In some, I wasn't particularly worried about this when I first got it because it was like, this is a temporary increase. But then did some due diligence with the city of Cedar Park. This temporary rate is likely to be in place for 12 to 18 months. For what it's worth, I don't know if any of you guys heard anecdotally, but the LCRA is doing some things with their rulemaking right now in terms of tightening up drought contingency plans and restricting water use over the course of the summer. All that has to do with the fact that they are projecting that, they are projecting that everyone who was projecting a lot of rain, like last October, they're not concluding they were wrong. And so everyone is thinking that, I think we're already below 900,000 square feet combined storage between Buchanan and Travis. And so below 900 is where you slip into the stage 3, and I think there's some thought we might go below 650 this summer, which is problematic for a lot of reasons. But back to the subject at hand here, the question comes up, Cedar Park is effectively increasing your wholesale rate by 32 cents per 1,000 gallons. I have looked at, I've chatted with Lisa and Taylor as well, and obviously chatted with Ben as well. I've also reached out to Dave Yankee, who did your rate analysis the last time that your rate order was modified. That was in October 2022. Just to provide education here for those of y'all who weren't on the board at the time that the proposal came through, the rate analyst had concluded that you needed to, in order to kind of bring your rates up to maintain typical profitability on your water and wastewater services, there were two tiers of, there were two approaches that he outlined in his recommendation. One was to back into the increase of rates over the course of several years. The other was to undertake the rate increases immediately. The board at that time opted to do them immediately. Now, going off memory here, anecdotal, but I believe one of those, I think it was the wastewater rates, had not been modified back in 9 years. So those needed to be got caught up. But suffice to say, about a year and a half ago, rates were raised. I would suggest that if you were interested in increasing your rate to mirror what you're being charged by the city of Cedar Park, that you probably would want to engage him as well. I've reached out to him, he's available, he's indicated it would be probably a fairly minimal amount of money in the scheme of things, certainly less than what you did before for the entire rate study. But the question here is essentially, well, there's a notification that your rates are going up. I have looked, Taylor has pulled the numbers on what your water sales and what your profitability looks like on your current sales. And you're still plenty profitable on water right now. Now, how that scales to your budget, I'm not exactly sure. Seasonal variation in water sales as well. But the question for y'all tonight, you don't have to answer it tonight, but is, what would you like to do about it? Do you want to consider increasing your rates? Do you want to direct us to bring back more data or considerations and bring this up again next month? Or I could, if you'd like, you can direct me to follow up with the Yankee New Gen Solutions to potentially bring back an engagement letter for him to run analysis on what the rate increase would look like for you guys in order just to stay level at your current profitability levels with your watersheds.
Sean, did you share how long, because you said temporary, I know you told me on the phone, but did you share with the board how long that temporary?
Well, it's unknown because it tracks with lake levels, but I think Ben, you talked to City of Cedar Park, 12 to 18 months, I think.
Because they said they did this in 2013 as a temporary rate increase, but it lasted all the way until 2015. Until it was
So
dropped.
it's a long temporary,
Yeah.
So 34 cents per 1,000 gallons,
a 9% increase.
it's a 9% increase. So if we got a $50 water bill, it would be $4.50 more.
Well, it's kind of on a, isn't it on a scale program?
Yeah, you do have, you've got volumetric ratings, and then, there's a base rate, and then if you go, this guy knows it probably much better than me.
Part of that bill is also the sewage
Yeah.
and stuff, so it's not gonna
The
be,
more water you consume, the higher your rates go. So, the more you pay at the end of the day. You pay like X amount for this much, X plus for this, and then, as you go up, you pay a little bit more.
so not just
And-
times more gallons.
Your
but-
base fee.
And to be sure, I mean, the historic way that you try to curtail water consumption is to raise rates. And so there's a conservation aspect of this as well, which, to be sure, LCRA, Cedar Park, all the other, wholesale providers, it's part of why they do it, is to try to increase costs so that people turn down what they're doing.
So it sounds like we probably need a little bit more information. I would like to suggest that you, direct you to talk to Mr. Yankee.
Okay, yep.
And get some more information, educate us a little bit on it. An option, I just want to throw out there, and again, we're not making decisions tonight, but it is a way to do conservation. So maybe we could do some communications with our residents saying, hey, Cedar Park has raised this rate. We are paying more now for the water as a wholesale provider. Help us by conserving, and maybe just see for a couple of months. And I know it's hard because then you're not in summer yet, so that doesn't work. Never mind.
Ursula, really quick, if I could jump in just to give you some context for the amount of money.
You dropped off.
I thought the ghost had arrived.
No, I knew it was Taylor was like, I thought.
I'm still here. If we were to not touch your rates at all and just absorb this, it would be like about a $71,000 hit to your budget. So again, just bear that in mind.
Yeah.
We did not touch your rates.
That's good information, thank you.
Well, and Taylor, this is Sean, would that be through the current fiscal year?
Yeah, so I basically just looked at what the usage was prior year and added that new rate, and that essentially was the delta, was the 71,000.
If I will just offer, I'm sorry, David, but
No, I agree with several comments.
it's almost the beginning of March. To the extent you raise your rates, it's probably gonna be 2-3 months from now, and so you'll be able to capture some of that through the current fiscal year. But a rate change might be more beneficial even going into the next fiscal year.
Yes.
So.
Okay, Director, sorry.
Well,
Shannon, Robert.
I guess I'll say, I came to that meeting before I was on the board, objected to increase the time, and asked for a phase, and I still have heartburn
I remember that.
about abruptly changing on folks, right? I mean, but I guess one thing, and Taylor, Sean, and here's my concern. Also with the modeling, and not saying you did a bad job, Taylor or Sean, but here's what I want to think about. Have we looked at this modeled out under stage 4? And we probably work through what stage 4 restricts, because if people are banned from all outdoor, I think stage 4 is no outdoor watering, no pools, no outdoor car washing. Like, if anything beyond indoor water usage is essentially banned under stage 4, we probably need to model this rate change based on that, right? Because I mean, not saying our neighborhood full of pools, but things like pools and outdoor usage take a lot of water. And if those things are just completely off the table, I'd like to have an idea of what that does to our budget, and what the rate change will do. But I guess I'd also like to have a handle on like, what, like to Young's point, the cost of the individual homeowner, right? And then look at, whether we make the change now or make the change going to the next fiscal year, we're adopting our budget. I guess the other thing I'm partnering about is we kind of, it stinks for us, it dings our budget, but, and I want to encourage conservation, but at the same time, I also feel like we kind of, we set a budget and made a deal with the taxpayers and residents, where this is the deal they're operating under, right? And I like giving folks notice of a change, and it'll take time, obviously, but I think I see a lot of pieces moving here, because I mean, I agree with you, Sean. I think LCR is absolutely right. The climate folks missed the forecast. The El Nino did not bring any rain. I've heard stuff thought we're gonna go neutral or El Nino. If it's El Nino, we're gonna be even a longer dry spell. And yeah, I think Travis is 36 feet below average. I've heard 50 feet below full. This is usually the wet time of the year, so. So I'm not trying to create a bunch of extra work, but I guess I'd like to have some extra information about impact to residents. But then what would this look like in a stage 4 scenario? Because if it's curtailing what we're selling in the first place, like we need to have a handle to our budget, whether it's with the current rate or the proposed adjustment of the rate, or if we adjust when we come into the budget cycle too, you know?
I have districts that are considering this more from a revenue perspective as well.
Okay.
Because,
Yeah, practice there.
you rely on two sides to revenue, right?
Yeah.
Water sales, wastewater service, and then tax on the other side.
Yeah, because your point, like if we're curtailed, what we can get, people are readily use, like, it may be a ding or revenue regardless of the rate. We need to have that hammered down. Sorry, I'm done.
No, it's okay, Steve. So, and think about, bringing Yankee on, whatever his name is, because we can actually analyze, do we want to increase and penalize the higher users? We can always increase that, the higher users have to pay the penalty for it, versus those that are more conservative minded. But I think the great thing is we've never gone off stage 3, we never did. I mean, we stayed on it, and it's 1 day a week, and I know we went back, but I mean, it's just something our residents are already kind of familiar with, and I think they're watching and listening to Leander. Leander can't water at all, but it's not because of that capacity, it's because of a pump issue. But at the same time, and Georgetown did the same thing. Georgetown was just told that they have till 6 years to get a completely another water source. I mean, that's like huge. So I think it's not like gonna be a surprise to the residents. I think it'll be not always accepted though with like their yards on turning green, but I think it is reality we have to deal with.
Okay, so we directed him.
71,000 is a huge hit.
Yeah, it is, yeah. So that was good information. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna agree with Directors Robert and Shoemaker. I think I would like to see a proposal, what he would do, and come in and, because we have lots of different questions that I don't feel like I have enough information to vote.
Okay. So,
no proposed, this was.
No, I just mean,
informational,
I didn't mean to criticize the amount of information we have, just that.
Let me drink my water carefully.
So we had gotten a notification, there's a URL, waterthriftycedarpark.org. If you go there, it doesn't go into the hand watering details, but just to share with everybody, hand watering is still permitted with the, like it was. So I don't want anybody giving any bad information out if we're water board directors, so let's.
No, I think you're absolutely right, I like that.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on then. You get your marching orders.
Reach out to Dave and bring back as much information as we can.
Okay.
Hey, Sean.
Yeah,
That's
anything
all I
else?
have for you. That's it.
Okay,
No.
good. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and talk about the operations contract. We had this discussion last month. Director Johnson, you weren't here. So I'll try to recap a little bit. The subcommittee reviewed the contract, and their suggestion was not to make any changes at this time. And I still have some concerns. And so I highlighted some of those. And it basically, what the changes I want to see that I think we need to do is to match what is actually happening to the contract. And that's not what's going on. And so what I'd like to see is to move basically the paragraph with the parks gentleman under the GM, under Lisa, instead of under operations. One of the things is currently, like if Travis does go and purchases, something, he was buying it through Crossroads, which there's an upcharge, 10%, something like that. So there was, a little bit more of a cost to us. Lisa's here every day, basically instructing Travis what to do and that type of thing. There were 2 other changes I wanted to see, and that was Travis is, am I saying something wrong?
No.
Okay.
Sean's looking at my books, I was like, this is, he needs to see what I'm looking at.
I was like, am I off
No, I was looking through, reading my.
We have Travis as, in our district, but we don't really say he's 40 hours a week. And I just want us to make sure that we say Travis is in Blockhouse for 40 hours a week. That way, they can't take him over to Wells Branch for 20 hours, because he is really busy here. So I just kind of want to protect us a little bit like that. And then there's a change to your contract that we needed to make, so.
Other than the savings that from the purchases not getting upcharged, is there any financial impact of what you just said other than that?
I don't believe there was any other financial impact, one way or the other.
Just a
No.
little bit of time for Sean, but I think we worked out that wasn't much
Oh,
time to do
and
that.
so Sean and I
That's
talked.
change, right?
Yeah, Sean and I
That was
talked
just a minor
today.
change, I think.
And one of the things is our GM contract is up in September. And so Sean and I talked about, well, if we make this change like next month, then we just won't make it in September. So it's not like we're doing one now and then we have to do one in September. The operations contract is a 2-year contract, so it's not up till 2025. So, but my biggest concern is when I read it, and I think you guys will remember when we approved it like a year ago or about a year ago, I had a lot of reservations because it kind of read like there's a lot of redundancy and it didn't really match what was going on. And so we'd all said, yeah, let's approve it now so we can get moving, but bring your red lines and we'll discuss it. And that's what I did. So, let's go ahead and.
Real quick, Tim, also, Andrew didn't really want the change right now. He thought it could just wait. And so that's why the subcommittee recommended that we just hold off.
I'm not sure we can speak for other people that are not here.
But that's
Well,
okay,
no,
but,
she's
hey,
talking about
guys,
the
let's
substance,
go
or
around the
comments,
room. Yeah, let's go around the room. And if you have questions, go around the room again. Andrew was here last month, and I have talked to him, and he does not have a problem with this, and he does see the value in it, and Lisa's had that conversation with him as well. Okay, do you guys, you wanna go?
I go first, so Robert, I think we were trying to say Director Johnson is, when Z and I were on the subcommittee on this, right, we talked to Andrew, he did not have any objection to it either way, right? He didn't say I favor one way or the other, right? And so that's what we were like, well, see if we're gonna have it up, our original recommendation was to leave it. One of my concerns at the time on my end at least was we have to have Sean do a bunch of work, then do it again, but if we're gonna be able to do the work now, like Sean is saying, and not doing it in September, then that negates that concern, right? So that was the only real issue I had on mine personally, I can't speak for Roberts, but that was, I just didn't want to do double work at the time. But we got that straightened out, so now it's just gonna be single work, I don't see a reason not to make the change. It was definitely something flagged as like, we need to make the change, we renew it, right?
Right.
Because it doesn't reflect what's actually happening, at least in mine, we can think it reflects what happened on the ground. Sorry, not trying to speak to you, Director, I'm just saying for my summarization, so I'll let you say your summarization, that's all I had to say.
No,
just
and I'll just
summarize
add to that, one thing that Andrew said, it's all one company.
Right.
So, and the contract used to all have everything underneath one contract, and then we split it out, and so now we've got all this going on. It's 6.5 dozen the way I look at it, but if this is what the board wants, then it's fine. I do want to ask Ben a quick question. So Ben, do you have any comments you want to make about this change?
I would say, I know Sean and Andrew had spoke about this, and so because I'm slightly new to the game and I'm a proponent for whatever is best for Crossroads and best for the board, I recommend that either we just stay how it is, or we wait until the contract is up for discussion later on down the road, but as for right now, I don't really have a hard decision, just because I'm Team Crossroads and whatever the board decides and whatever, whatever's best for MUD, the board, and Crossroads.
Sounds just like what Andrew said.
Hey, Director Johnson.
No, I'm absorbing,
Okay, Director Young.
So as I understand it, currently our parks guy is working under your supervision.
Yes, and our ops, his name's Spencer.
How often does he reach out to you over the past month? Like, hey, there's some graffiti, I'm gonna go clean it up, or there's some homeless camp. How often do you guys communicate?
In the last month, quite often. Very
Like on a daily basis? Is this?
Probably 2 or 3 times a week, especially in the last month. We've had a lot of things come up in the last month that we've been corresponding back and forth.
Okay, and then how often do you speak with Parks guy?
Every day.
Every day?
He has a desk.
Okay, so it sounds like what's really going on is he's a little bit more responsible, to the GM's needs and desires, and so I think I'm in favor of having the contract reflect that as soon as we can get that done.
Okay, I'm just gonna, one more thing, and then Director Johnson does have some comments. Again, I think it's really important that your contracts reflect what you're actually doing, and the last thing we wanna do is get into some, and I'm not saying we'd ever do this with Crossroads, and we hopefully would never do it with another vendor, but you don't wanna get into contract litigation and something's not matching, because that's not good. Okay, Director Johnson.
It's a question. So just to clarify again, clarifying with Travis that he'd be 40 hours here is not increasing his time here. It's just basically preventing him from going somewhere else.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah,
Good.
absolutely. Director Roberts.
Yeah, did Andrew say something about the cost would change?
I
I don't remember him saying anything with the cost with us to then change. There was a discussion came up
There's
because
something about
it was, well, I think Lisa put out that she could change the cost of what she purchased would change potentially downwards to buy it differently from
Yeah.
them. I don't recall any cost change
No, I
issues
think
in the
what you're-
subcommittee from the Crossroads end.
Yeah.
But like I said, it clarified the reality of the thing, like, so I don't recall this would impose any costs on us.
Yeah.
I think what
For
you
the
can know,
change.
Director Roberts, is that the cost of Travis under operations is gonna be pulled out, and the cost will go into the general manager contract. So
For some reason, in my head just rang that he would have to recalculate something.
it's gonna be, I think that's what it is contract.
I thought it was going up though.
No, it's not going up, it's just had to come out, so it's gonna decrease operations and then increase GM.
But
Never mentioned.
I do have one clarification I need. So how many hours is he working now?
40.
So he's working 40, so does he get pulled out and go to Wells Branch?
No, but he
So that's
could.
what-
At this point,
He
could he?
could. He absolutely
He's not
could.
entitled to us, I do remember that coming up,
Right.
but he's not solely, because he's still a Crossroads guy.
The only time that has happened is with your previous parks person, not Travis. Your
Okay.
previous parks person has actually been working and has worked in the past for Crossroads at Wills Branch because we are Crossroads and we are a team, so.
Yeah, okay. Director Johnson, anything else?
No, I just appreciate everyone's perspective.
Yeah, okay, anyone else? Young, Roberts, Shoemaker?
Just want to thank Director Roberts for working on this with subcommittee, and thank the time for the folks at Crossroads and Lisa and Sean working together. We had a lot of discussion, like I said, just takes some time to work through these complicated contracts, so appreciate all the effort on that.
Okay, so do I have a motion to, change the operation service agreement to reflect the parks change?
Motion.
I'll second.
Second.
I make a motion that we merge them all together.
Yeah, it's funny, it was that way, but I think you're the one that wanted them separate.
No, it wasn't, but
Really?
that was when we were gonna get our own, not a third party, not Crossroads employee.
No.
That's when it was being broken out, and then we ended up going across, so I don't see why we can't just put them all together. It seems ridiculous to have two contracts.
We had it together until I think last
So can
year.
I amend that motion to just merge it all as one contract? That shouldn't be a big problem.
I don't think it's a problem, like, from a policy perspective, I guess, Sean, is that a problem for you? Try it all up as one? Do we need to give you more time, I guess, is my question here, before telling you this on, like, right now?
We're on a different schedule with the two. One's every other year, one's every year, it's
Why don't we
negotiated.
do it when the operations is up? I don't know, I mean,
I think it makes sense to put it all back into one.
I don't really disagreement on that from a policy,
I don't either,
can you?
but I don't know if the timing's what.
We got a motion outstanding, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a good answer on
Okay.
the fly for, I also don't disagree that might make sense. Here's what we could do, just to make sure everybody's on the same page here, if that is what we're interested in doing. I think, just to make sure, for me to touch the GM contract early to make this change, what I would propose doing, I was gonna bring this up anyway, would be to move the expiration date of that contract, and I think that would line up at the end of September 2025 anyway. So at
And then we
that
could
time,
combine
yeah,
the two.
you would have the
Yeah.
same milestone dates, and so we can duly noted to try to combine those.
Yeah, okay, so, I think that's good.
Sean, do I need to, before we move further, do I need to withdraw my motion, or make a motion to amend my motion for you to do that, or can you do that, is just a?
No, that's what I was gonna do anyway, if you're talking about how we're gonna draft.
Okay,
We do have a.
that's the thing I wanna make sure. I move,
We have a
Robert
motion,
seconded to approve.
Yeah, you had a motion, you had a second, then we had a motion to amend the motion to merge the contracts. Would you like to pull back that amendment?
I will withdraw.
Okay.
Okay, so before, so we have discussion, one thing is, because we were touching the GM contract, one thing that we do need to change is, and I talked about this on the phone, is Lisa is an exempt employee, but it has 45 hours in there. We need to remove the language of 45 hours, that's actually illegal. So we'll have that removed. Okay, all in favor, or any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, good deal. You know what you're doing, right?
Yep.
You beat Sean. Okay, good deal. 25, we're gonna table. This is kind of exciting. The gentleman, what's his name?
On that vote, I'm actually gonna vote no, only because I wanted to merge it together and for more cost efficiencies. It just makes more sense to me. We're already editing it, taking out 45 hours and recognizing exempt. I just think it's kind of redundant to do this and then try to change it now. We could always amend that Crossroads entire contract to end in 2025.
Okay, all right.
That's one reason for
So
voting.
what was the name of the gentleman?
Matt.
Matt,
Thanks for that.
okay.
I had to think about it.
So Matt from BG&E is actually going, do you have a question?
No, I don't, sorry.
For sidebar.
Sorry.
Yes, please
You
continue.
guys are killing me tonight. No, I'm just joking. Matt from BG&E will be in our meeting in March, and he's going to give us a whole presentation on the, what do we call it?
Spyglass.
My brain dead tonight. Spyglass. So we're going to table 25. I don't think we have anything on 26.
Reports in the packet.
Thank you. 27, the report's in the packet. I hope you all took a look at it, and it was pretty interesting.
I do have a question, actually, or are we tabling it? I'm sorry.
Which item are you
No.
talking about?
25.
Oh, 25?
No, 27A.
Yeah.
You're right, okay. So one thing I noticed is that they said preventative maintenance, remove the leaves. Didn't strike me as preventative. I mean, it's a good thing we should remove the leaves. I'm wondering, is there any way to actually prevent it?
Well, that's funny that you asked that, because I was like wondering, can we even put like little screens or stuff? Because I know we do construction, so you have screens on there, but can we do any sort of like, always have a screen on there?
I don't-
That's an engineer question.
Yeah,
Yeah,
not,
it's a David Gray.
Yeah.
Where's the new
I-
David Gray?
We sent him home, but.
All right, but that's a good question. We
Could
can
that be
ask.
a directive from the board to ask David Gray to give us some?
We can do that, we're services.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you guys do that, that'd be great. I think it's really interesting. Can we put this report online? I'd like residents to see it. If you read through it, you see that we have to do so many communications with residents a year on different things. So tonight, when we play that little video, that actually ticks that box. And I think we should probably try to do that a couple of times a year.
Can you add that to the website?
The video? Well, I stole it from online, and I might have to get permission.
Okay.
If it's YouTube,
It was YouTube,
You know what?
we're a
and it's
government
Texas.
entity. So I was gonna, I'm looking at you.
Actually, it's
Gives you to do it.
Texas, let's do it.
Over there.
Yeehaw.
Who do you have?
Mhm. Yeah.
Steal it, you acquired
Did
right.
I say steal?
We
Oh.
found it, it was just sitting there.
it. Yeah.
So-
Free online.
just to confirm, I'm sure everybody's read, under 27A, the report on driveway screening, and there is lots of suggested maintenance in there. Last year at this time, you guys directed Crossroads to bring back a proposal to address the need of maintenance.
Mhm.
Do we want to go ahead and do that again this year?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, definitely post that on the website, so I did find this one video, it was kind of kindergarten, Chris and Lisa can, it was like a little fish that swims around, it was a cartoon, and I thought it was really good, but it's directed to the little ones, but he kept singing, only rain in the drain, and it's, said it so many times, I'm like, okay, this is getting stuck in my head, you guys will kill me, so we didn't look at that one. But I did ask Lisa when she could update the e-sign, if she would put only rain in the drain. Because I think I saw in your memo from the communications subcommittee to like have more positive things on there. So let's start doing stuff that helps with storm drain and that, just like little things that, hey, pick up your poop, don't let it, get in the drain, stuff like that. And again, that will tick off those boxes.
That black substance coming out was a little concerning, but they talked about it in there.
Oh,
They talked
yeah,
about some
yeah.
illicit substance or something like that, is that the word they used? Something
Illicit
like that.
substance, I think it was the paint, yeah. And you could see where the person poured the paint down. We actually had the address.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that person did it,
Yeah.
I could have randomly
Who would
did
pour
it.
it in their own fire, huh?
Okay. Report from the services subcommittee, I think it's the reports in the packet.
Under 27B, so this is our
New one.
Year 5 report for
Oh.
2023.
Mhm.
We need to submit this to the TCEQ. Report is in the packet that was provided by Quiddity. Need a motion to
Okay,
approve.
do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. 29, general manager. Wrap it up for us, please.
My report is in the packet. I have nothing to add unless you have any questions.
Yeah, so, number,
Ollie's.
yeah, so you don't see that. We were removing that. He's, we're gonna direct him to work with the OA. He wants to do barbecue and movie nights and stuff, so it's better if it runs through the OA to have their oversight, because they know what they can do and everything. Okay, so there's nothing on that. Legal.
Let's see, I don't have anything generally under item number 30, which is just report directives from Congressman Brown. Under 31, City of Cedar Park, we chatted through that earlier. Item number 32, security monitoring agreement with Cothran's. I have an updated agreement. I did not include it in the packet just because it is technically security. To confirm here, the updated report, I sent it out to you guys earlier via email. I believe. So this is for the alarm system, and this is for the subscription to Eagle Eye. Happy to entertain any questions you have. The Cothran's folks were willing to change some of their boilerplate language to basically clean things up and accommodate local government status that you guys have. So they're fairly easy to work with, and I can answer any contract questions you have.
So does this replace, is it Mike McKelvey's contract,
Trinity.
Trinity? So have they been notified?
I emailed earlier and updated you that Sean would be contacting me.
Okay, so they know that their contract should be terminated, excuse me.
So the
Is
one
this the
thing
first
is
that they're getting
so
word
this,
back?
Again, as mentioned, Sean would be the one that answers the information.
Yeah, we directed Sean for the
That was something we talked last meeting, I checked.
Yeah,
so
We were directed.
in, what we do have outstanding is when the transitional dates will occur, and I don't think this contains Brevo. And so we need to finalize everything with Cothran's as it pertains to Brevo.
Okay.
But I'm happy to reach out to Mike just to let him know that we're in the transition and we just need to figure it out from a practical perspective of how that will be.
And Sean, I think just for, sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
Go. I have a question
So-
for Sean, ask yours.
So I would like Lisa to put a memorandum together, give it to you, so that explaining to him why we went in a different direction. Why?
I do that. I prefer to send the right.
I know I asked my clarifying question, but I thought we discussed.
My daughter's gonna live here, sorry.
I think this may bear with you, so I thought, and Sean, Director Roberts, my recollection from the last meeting was that last time you talked to Mr. McKelvey, I believe you were under the impression that he was wanting to terminate potentially. I think that's what I thought we came to last time, was that when Sean last talked to him, Sean thought he was wanting to terminate or not renew anyway.
Yeah. So
I don't know if I thought we left it that we didn't have to take any additional action on notifying when we're actually terminating, but Sean, is my recollection bad? That's what I thought we'd kind of come to, because I remember you raised this
Because
issue.
he's a resident.
No, I know, but I thought we'd come to, is I thought.
The discussion was, we were gonna work things out with this group, and then when Sean was ready, he was going to notify Michael McKelvey. And that step has not been taken yet.
But I guess the point I think underlying is we need to talk to Mr. McKelvey, but I thought that we were under the impression Mr. McKelvey didn't want to renew in the,
There's
from his
nothing-
end.
I think that's correct, yeah.
That is
Okay,
very
and that's the
correct.
thing, I think, since we did, so, okay, glad I'm not going crazy, that's what I thought. we
No,
talked about.
you're spot on that. Okay.
The only thing, I do just want to make sure we're not going to gap out on anything, obviously. So I guess let's circle back and make sure that we're good with Cothran's and being comprehensive on all the things, particularly Brevo. To be sure though, Brevo, Eagle Eye, different, Brevo, completely independent. So let's chat about that. I just want to make sure we're all on the same page there. But nonetheless, I think we are good to go on what you have in front of you tonight, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you do have. This also does provide for installation of certain things relating to the alarm system.
Are you gonna pass it down? And do we need to hand these back to you, or?
No, I don't think so.
And do we need to vote on this?
We do, yeah.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve?
A motion?
Second.
Discussion?
I don't have
No, man.
everything that I've worked with these guys so far, and I believe Lisa is going well.
Okay. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
No vote no.
Okay. Okay, number, 33. Utility easement from PEC.
So board members, we have received a request from PEC for an additional utility easement. Everything we've received is behind tab 33. David Gray is aware of this. I'm not sure, obviously he's had a few balls in the air. We got this just before we put the packet together. I'm not sure he has studied it to the extent that he probably needs to in order to offer an informed opinion. With that said, I will refresh your memory that the last time we got an easement request from PEC, there were a couple of moving parts at that time. It did take us a while to negotiate that easement, but perhaps the most important thing there is my firm, Armstrong Brown, has also represented PEC in the past. And so when we did that, we put a conflict waiver in place. You guys executed it as well. PEC did. What it basically stated was that if for any reason things were to go south with regards to anything contemplating the easement, my firm wouldn't be able to represent you in those matters. So wanted to run this past you, but what I would propose is that if you guys are comfortable with it, I will bring back a similar conflict letter. I'll let PEC's counsel know that we'll be needing to replicate that process again, if you guys are comfortable with that.
My question is, it's the parameters around the actual facility, but it looks like it's kind of overlapping some of our trails. So what is the purpose for it, besides they just want to do an underground 30 feeder, is that what it is? We can bring that back at the same time, you can bring it back next meeting if you want to.
I would, definitely defer on David Gray on.
Let's just wait till next meeting. Okay.
Yeah, well, this was more, again, it was probably more informational, but as long as you guys are comfortable, I will pursue the conflict letter, and I'll bring that back, and then I can kind of officially look at it a little bit closer.
Maybe get David Gray to give us some input as well.
Yeah, quick question. So the railroad tracks are here. So does that mean that this, on the right side of the page, is actually the parking lot?
No, this right here.
Oh, mine's
is-
not in color, that's why.
That's the PEC center.
Right, but this is,
Here's the railroad tracks, this is the other property.
right,
This is our
but
property.
this is, oh, the parking lot there. Okay, I got
Does
it.
that make sense?
Yes, it's just mine, I didn't go far enough to get that, so that's why.
Across from me.
Right,
Okay.
very fortunate.
Thank you for bringing
There
this
it
up.
is.
We don't need to do anything on that.
It is on.
We don't, I'll be so directed to bring back that letter.
Thank you, Sean.
Park bond, we already discussed.
Yep, nothing there.
So 35, it's our last topic.
So remote participation in board meetings by board members. I sent out a memo on this.
You did? It was a very good memo.
It was like today or yesterday, right?
And we did share the memo with Chris, since Chris is kind of become our IT guru, and he had some good input, and I shared that with Sean.
So I have a couple extra copies here for those of you that don't have.
Oh, I gave the thorough read,
Thank
so.
you.
Basically, we still need to have forum in person together.
And the moderator in person.
Yeah, so,
Which would, sorry.
and to be sure, we studied this pretty closely when the pandemic first started, and this did not provide us for a lot of relief at that time. Since then, DIR has actually revised their rules that relate to what you actually have to have in place here. There used to actually be more restrictive rules in terms of size of TV and this sort of thing. Bottom line is, I think that your setup fits pretty well. You guys are welcome to read through this memo. I have bolded and underlined a few things in here that I think are important. I think more than anything else, that there are a few things that might potentially be challenging. For one thing, I think we do need to track back within some recent meetings and see if we can hear Taylor's audio. It is required that when you have a board member participating remotely, that the audio, you have to at least make an audio recording. We're making video recordings here, but that is going to be dependent on, I would guess, and I don't know if you, to Taylor's credit, I asked her if she'd gone back to see if she can hear herself on the videos, and she said no. So,
No, she hasn't.
Yeah, no, she has not checked. So
I've watched every single video.
Okay.
And I have not had any.
you can
The
hear her.
only-
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
the only thing I'll say is when we all talk, like if there's two of us talking at the same time, you can't hear anything. So we just really need to, and we're doing a much better job about that.
So it would be my recommendation that you probably adopt some sort of policy, and I think this, it's sort of general, but I think it should be accessible. So whether this goes into your, code of ethics isn't necessarily the perfect place for it, but it would be central if it went there. And I don't think it needs to be particularly complicated, but I think you want to establish standards for how and when you can do this, and I think there are some practical considerations. You need to, one of the things that you need to do is, on page 2 of the memo, any member of the board who's participating in the meeting in a remote location must confirm their bandwidth meets the standard at least 24 hours prior to the meeting. I did visit with our IT staff at my firm. They confirmed to me that these standards seem to be very low in terms of hurdle to clear from a bandwidth perspective. I think that's one of the other things, like the previous rules required like a hardline connection for everybody. And so I think that was, and by the way, I didn't really notice it until I put the pieces together. I think right when the modifications to the Open Meetings Act went away that were put in place during COVID, I think that's when these new rules were actually implemented. So I think it's more than just you can do it. I think there are some technical considerations. Chris had some good suggestions. And I think that's all stuff that might be boiled down into a policy where you guys might want to contemplate when is the proper time to use this, and I'll let you guys decide that. But this is just the results of my research at this point, which pretty much say, yes, you can do it with the caveat that you've got to have a quorum here.
Sure.
Okay, so can I get a suggestion? I'm gonna go around the room and everybody can share their thoughts. I think, let's definitely have a standalone policy, but I think we should have a reference to it in the code. Just a one line or two. And I'm happy to do a first pass at the policy, maybe with Johnson or Shoemaker or somebody. Honestly, I'm gonna go look and see what's out there and, just kind of, like some of the things that Chris suggested were privacy. If you are gonna be remote, don't sit there at Starbucks, and executive session, you want to consider that.
Yeah, for what it's worth, the Open Meetings Act does not contemplate executive session with remote.
Okay, so if somebody joined remotely, they would just not be
able to participate.
They don't contemplate it, meaning they don't address it.
They don't contemplate it. With that said, you guys don't ever make any decisions in executive session, and further, cross the bridge when we come to it, I suppose, or when we come to it in the policy, but, all of the standards relating to what you have to comply with here in state law and state statute have to do with the public being able to hear you. It's not a factor in executive session, so I think we could probably work around that with the caveat that, all action tends to take place when you come back out anyway.
Right.
Okay, Georgiana?
Yeah, so I feel citizens communication is one of the most important things that we do, and I would like to extend this to residents that do want to participate. My thoughts are, if somebody wants to send an email to Lisa, and then I know that Chris has been here early every time, and then we can have a little session, make sure everything's working, so that it doesn't turn into verify that it's working, so it didn't turn into oh, well, they couldn't hear me and it was their fault or whatever. But let's have a process to qualify these people, and then
And so I agree with you, but that's separate and apart from this. This is directors access remote, but I think that's our next step, is looking at, so yeah, let's get this worked out and then maybe go to that.
Well, but I think that does go to directors remote, because if residents are on, jumping in, directors that are online as well need to be able to hear them.
Well, and I think Robert, what Director Logan's making is that this is kind of the prerequisite. Like if we can get where a director can appear remotely and get that ironed out, that makes the hurdles, I think, for getting residents to appear remotely a lot easier, because since we don't have anybody appearing remotely now, right, getting folks they can actually video in would, I think, make a big difference. If we can get that set up for one group, adding more people, I think will be less difficult.
So Chris, question for you. It's one thing to be able to clear the minimum hurdle relating to making an audio recording when we have someone participating. But if, we're live streaming with the video, with the OWL format, are you able to pull in, like, for instance, when Taylor is coming in via video, nobody sees her, right? They can hear her. And I think it becomes a different deal. It's one thing for a district consultant to not be visible, and I think it's another thing for a board member to not be visible. So I don't know if, when we know that's gonna happen, if we could switch over to just having a Zoom format. I know it's not as good, but that might be something, and not to put you on the spot, but it might be something for you guys to consider as well. I don't know that that's required, but I think it's something you should think about.
I think we can see Taylor.
We do see her.
Yeah, you can.
Yes,
Yeah.
and she can see all.
No, I'm talking about when someone is watching the video
Yeah,
feed from
they
afar.
can.
They
Well,
do see
can.
Taylor.
Yeah, she pops up.
When she starts talking, it
Okay.
switches over to her view. And we do use Zoom currently, that just streams out to YouTube. And we would only give the Zoom link to people who maybe remote comments or.
So it goes back and forth then, when
Yeah.
Taylor comes up, it goes to her.
It does, yes.
Okay, so it's like another, okay,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah, okay, Director Johnson.
Yeah, so, you know, as somebody who might use this, you know, this came to my mind recently in January when I was sick for the meeting. I felt relatively fine, but I couldn't attend because the rest of you would have gotten COVID as well. So, you know, it's funny that you say that about Starbucks. My vision was if I were to use this, I would either be, you know, at home or in a hotel room in some city somewhere.
Yeah.
To me, as long as Sean helps us to ensure that we're compliant, to me, I don't see any risk. Because right now, if I'm sick at home, I can't participate in the meeting. If I'm at home and my bandwidth goes out, or y'all's bandwidth goes out, I can't participate in the meeting, so we're exactly where we were before. So as long as we don't run afoul of any compliance issues, I don't know that I see any risk to it.
Okay.
Might make sense. I also wouldn't think that it would be mandatory. I don't want anyone to feel like if they're ill at home or traveling, they would have to participate
Oh,
remotely.
gosh, no.
Right, like, just
Yeah.
that the option would be there, much like remote viewing of.
No, I mean, I'll give a perfect example. Last year, I had to attend, I have a conference I go every year in San Antonio that starts on Thursday, right? And in September, so I ran from meeting here, drove to San Antonio for the meeting, right? The conference started at 8. If I'd been able to remote, I would have gone down to San Antonio early. I have a hotel room for work. I could have had a private location to participate remotely, right? We could sort of drive down I-35 at midnight. So I will say for a selfish reason, like, you know,
Yeah.
I can definitely see how that's a flexibility for those of us who have traveled.
Director
for work.
Roberts?
I think it's a great option, and I would, you know, hope that board would just consider it as an option, like when you're traveling or something like that. And I think it's obvious, we have to have a quorum. The good news is if we do have bandwidth out, we can still make decisions, so
Absolutely.
Yeah.
that would be good.
Correct.
Good
So-
point.
Okay.
Okay, great, yeah, I don't have anything else to add, so, do we have anything we need to approve on this? We really don't yet.
Nothing to approve, I think just contemplating proposed policy on how to move forward.
Yeah, so let's have an agenda item for March, we'll have some draft policies if you wanna help me with that, Johnson.
Absolutely.
And if for some reason you're out of town, in March, I think we can do it. You won't be, okay.
Barring anything crazy happening or I'm sick again, but no, I don't plan to be, it hurt my finger. Actually, it still is all up today. But yeah, I like, you know, I like that thoughtful memo because, you know, it's helpful. Like if you're remote, then you can't chair, or shouldn't at least chair the meeting,
Yeah.
right, if you David.
Yeah.
Even though it's public, but yeah.
That's
Okay.
good.
Okay, so, subcommittee policies, we're not doing anything on that right now. 5-month review, we finished, code of conduct, miscellaneous, future board meetings, I don't think we need a special meeting in March unless anyone else thinks we do. Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
Wow, you said that loud. All right, all in favor?
All right.
Aye.
All right, we are adjourned, thank you.
Good job.